It was a chilly autumn evening when I found myself driving down the infamous Highway 47, a road steeped in tales of accidents and ghostly apparitions. The air was thick with impending darkness, the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves filling my lungs as I navigated the winding road. The sun dipped behind the trees, casting long, twisted shadows that danced ominously across the pavement. My headlights cut through the murky gloom, illuminating the path ahead, but they also revealed the remnants of countless stories lost to time, memories of lives abruptly ended. As I drove deeper into the heart of Highway 47, a sense of unease settled over me, as if the very road was alive, breathing in the whispers of the past. My grip tightened on the steering wheel, my heart racing in rhythm with the low hum of the engine. The tales I had heard about this road echoed in my mind. Legends of a woman in white who haunted the area, forever searching for something she had lost. I dismissed them as mere superstition, but as the shadows lengthened and the fog rolled in, I began to question my disbelief. Suddenly, my headlights caught a glimpse of movement by the roadside. A figure stood there, unmistakably a woman in a flowing white dress, her hair hanging in disarray around her face. She seemed almost ethereal, her form shimmering slightly in the dim light. Panic surged through me as I swerved to avoid her, the steering wheel slipping through my fingers like sand. I slammed the brakes, but the sickening crunch of metal against flesh echoed in the stillness, drowning out the sound of my racing heartbeat. Stunned, I stumbled out of the car, breathless and shaken. The night air felt icy against my skin, and as I looked around, the figure had vanished, leaving behind an oppressive silence and an unsettling fog that enveloped the area like a shroud. My phone showed no signal, and a cold sweat broke out on my forehead. Glancing back at my car, I felt a sense of dread creeping over me. It was as if the darkness was alive, pulsing with a sinister energy. I took a deep breath, willing myself to remain calm, but every instinct screamed at me to run. Just then, a rustle broke the stillness. I froze, the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end. My heart thundered in my chest as I turned slowly, and there she was again. The woman. She was closer this time, her face twisted in sorrow and rage, blood dripping from her fingertips onto the ground. I staggered back, my breath hitching in my throat as I realized the horror of my situation. She pointed at me, her silent scream echoing in my mind like a haunting refrain. In that moment, I understood. I hadn't just hit a ghost. I had become part of her tragic story. Desperation surged as I ran back to my car, but the engine sputtered and died, the dashboard lights flickering ominously before plunging me into darkness. The whispers of the past enveloped me, swirling around like a tempest, urging me to confront the spirit. I gathered what little courage I had left and turned to her, my voice trembling as I shouted an apology, pleading for her to share her truth. The air grew still, thick with an energy I couldn't comprehend, and for a fleeting moment I saw a glimmer of recognition in her eyes, an acknowledgement of our shared pain. With a slow, deliberate gesture, she pointed toward the nearby woods, her hand trembling slightly. Understanding dawned on me like a distant star breaking through the night sky. I needed to uncover the story behind her death. I followed her silent call into the underbrush, driven by an instinct I couldn't explain. As I ventured deeper into the forest, the air grew colder, the trees looming overhead like silent sentinels. I could feel the weight of unseen eyes upon me, a suffocating presence that seemed to push me forward. The underbrush thickened, branches clawing at my clothes as I pushed through the darkness. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat echoing in my ears like a war drum. Finally, I stumbled upon an old, rusted car, partially hidden beneath a veil of vines. My breath caught in my throat as recognition washed over me. This was the vehicle from the stories, the one that had met a tragic end years ago, its secrets buried beneath the earth. As I examined the wreckage, fragments of a horrific past unfolded before my eyes. Suddenly, I was plunged into a flashback, a vivid memory of laughter, of a group of friends gathered together, carefree and alive. The sound of music floated through the air, mingling with the warmth of their joy. But then the scene shifted, and chaos erupted. I could hear the screech of tires, a sudden scream, and then the horrific crunch of metal against metal. I felt a rush of nausea as I watched the scene unfold, realizing I was witnessing the last moments of their lives. I staggered back from the wreckage, my heart racing as the realization hit me. She was a victim lost to time, her story begging to be told. The echoes of their laughter turned to sobs, and the chilling cries of the injured reverberated in my mind. The whispers intensified, swirling around me in a frenetic dance, urging me to remember, to feel the weight of their tragedy. Please. I shouted into the night, my voice raw with emotion. Don't hurt me. I don't want to die. As the last word escaped my lips, the air crackled with energy, the temperature dropping further. The ghostly woman stood before me, her expression a mix of anger and desperation. I could see the flicker of hope in her eyes as she stepped closer, her presence a tangible force that drew me in. Go away, don't come again, she said. As I made my way back, I noticed the fog beginning to lift slightly, revealing a clearer path. I returned to my car, heart racing as I sat behind the wheel. The engine roared back to life at my touch, and I glanced in the rearview mirror. For a brief moment, I saw her standing at the edge of the woods, a faint smile on her lips, a sense of resolution hanging in the air. But my relief was short-lived. As I drove away, I felt a presence beside me, cold and unyielding. The whispers returned, urgent and frantic, as if they were warning me that my journey was far from over. They swirled around the car, filling my mind with images of the past. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, struggling to focus on the road ahead, but the memories flooded in like a relentless tide. Suddenly, the engine sputtered, and the headlights flickered ominously. I cursed under my breath, trying to coax the vehicle forward, but it was as if something was holding me back, anchoring me to the spot. Panic clawed at my insides, and I glanced around, half expecting to see the woman's ghostly figure hovering nearby. Then, without warning, the car lurched to a stop. The lights dimmed and the fog closed in, obscuring everything outside. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of voices filling the air, echoing my own dread. My heart raced as I realized I was trapped, not just by my car, but by the weight of their unfinished business. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone, desperate for a sign of life, but the screen remained dark. I could feel the air growing thick around me, a palpable tension settling into the confines of the vehicle. In that suffocating silence, I knew I had to confront whatever lay ahead. The shadows around me seemed to shift and swirl, taking on forms that danced just beyond the edge of my vision. I could hear the faint echoes of laughter followed by the sickening sounds of a crash. It was as if the memories of that fateful night were playing out before my eyes, each moment more vivid than the last. In a sudden rush of clarity, I remembered the stories, the names of those lost, the families left behind. I had to find them, to give them closure. I had to break the cycle of pain that had bound the spirit to this cursed road. Summoning every ounce of courage, I threw open the car door and stepped out into the chilling embrace of the night. The fog wrapped around me like a shroud, but I pressed on, driven by an urgency that consumed my thoughts. The whispers guided me toward a dilapidated cabin I had seen earlier, hidden among the trees, its silhouette barely visible through the mist. As I approached, I felt an energy pulsing from within, a resonance of grief and loss that hung heavy in the air. The door creaked open at my touch, revealing a dimly lit interior filled with dust and decay. My heart raced as I stepped inside, the floorboards groaning beneath my weight. The cabin felt alive with memories, each corner steeped in the echoes of a life once vibrant. Old photographs adorned the walls, capturing moments of joy, smiling faces frozen in time, their eyes glimmering with a happiness that felt impossibly distant. But as I moved closer, I noticed something unsettling. The faces in the photographs began to blur, replaced by expressions of